continue the breadth of New York City's homeless problems. Now a new report says it's getting worse.
30,000 people will spend the holiday on the street.
Have more than 71,000 homeless people.
Cities are cracking down on homeless sleeping outside.
And why they're in shelter.
Declare that state of emergency.
Water, food, a place to sleep, somewhere to do homework. The things we take for granted, perhaps even given to us by default, could be taken away from us at any moment, completely disappear into the abyss that is homelessness.
More than 500,000 people currently meet the definition of homelessness in the United States. On any given night, about 14,000 people experience homelessness in Metro Atlanta. Georgia ranks 6th in the nation for states with the highest number of unsheltered people. Statistics are just numbers. They do not show the tears streaming down the face of a mother who cannot buy a warm meal for her 3 children. They do not echo defeat on the face of a father who cannot make it home on time to tuck his children into bed. They do not hear the distressed cries of a toddler who lies in the cold without a roof over their head. They do not hear the whole story because statistics do not show these extremes. Homelessness is so much more than just a label. It's the burden of not being able to support yourself or your family. It's gas cards and food stamps and the constant reminder that you are dependent on money that isn't your own. It's not being able to afford medication or insurance, and knowing that even if you had a job, you wouldn't be able to get to work every morning. It's a slow depreciation of motivation that facilitates the already negative image that society holds on the homeless community.
People think homelessness is someone sitting in the corner with dirty clothes, dingy, just laying out on, the concrete, on the ground or with a paper bag over them. That's what when people say homelessness, that's what they equate homelessness, but this is what homelessness looks like. I have a MPH. I'm a mom. I'm someone's daughter. I'm someone's friend. So this is the face of homelessness.
There are many misconceptions revolving around homelessness. Although it can happen to anyone, it is still viewed as if people in poverty are not trying hard enough, with no thought given to the circumstances that cause them to be in that position.
The typical stereotypes that I see that are attributed to the homeless are that it's someone who has not tried, who's not willing to try, and who is just looking for a handout. These are people just like any of us. They are educated, they're not stupid, they're not ignorant, and because they don't have it doesn't mean that they haven't tried.
Just too lazy to get a job, or they just need to tighten their bootstraps and get to work and they won't be homeless, when there's multiple reasons of why a person can be homeless. It can be due to divorce or domestic violence or even medical illness.
The effects of homelessness are extremely hard to overcome by oneself. Yet most people turn their heads and overlook the problem, as it does not directly affect them.
I think it changes the demographic of each area that becomes affected. I think that poverty is a hard thing for people to really want to wrap their heads around, because in a country that's so rich, to realize that there's so many families who are living in extreme dire conditions is a hard thing for most people to really want to face. So given that, especially with women and children, when you think about homelessness, right now in Atlanta, in the metro area, there's probably around 8,000 people who are homeless. A vast majority of that are women and their children. So it's an issue that there definitely needs to be social change, and there needs to be enough people who are ready to make the commitment to supporting these families and trying to find a solution to this issue.
One of the things that the misconceptions do is it does not identify the need. So we are not really able to address the problem the way that we need to. We're not able to speak to the needs of the homeless family or the homeless person because we don't have the right perception of the complexities that lead to their state of homelessness. And we're not able to put together programs, resources, or even laws and policies that are going to alleviate the problem or eliminate it completely.
To discuss the prevalence of homelessness in our area, we talked to two homeless liaisons for Fulton County, Shawnette Miller and Sarah Smith.
A homeless liaison is a school social worker that works mainly with our homeless students and kind of acts as an advocate as well as a liaison, kind of linking the mom and the student to services that may be in the community, and then of course the services that are housed within the school.
I've really seen it's not so much just the homelessness, but just poverty. I think poverty is kind of the issue that people struggle with. Anybody, from any socioeconomic class can have mental health issues or divorce or fire, things like that. But it's the poverty that's really the biggest barrier, because when you don't have a car, you don't have a stable place to live, you're constantly worried about food, you don't have shoes, you don't have, your basic needs met, it makes school really, really difficult. Just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you can't focus on the more abstract things like geometry and philosophy if you're hungry, you're tired, you're up all night because the police were at your house or whatever, these issues going on, which people in poverty really face.
There's definitely a growing issue of homelessness in North Fulton County, and I think that's mainly due to the lack of affordable housing. I have had students who have been put out of their homes for various reasons. Sometimes it might be due to their sexuality, and it's really tough to see them going from house to house. I think one of the incidences that really stands out to me is a student that I had that was actually sleeping in the garage area of a Target, and that was really tough because of course in school you have the pressures of trying to get your work done. You need to have access to a computer, you need to have access to clean clothing, and this was challenging for him. Homelessness is very real in North Fulton County, and even in this school we have some students who have been identified as homeless.
The intense situations homeless people have to deal with are often not taken care of. Rainbow Village is a transitional housing program that aims to solve this lack of aid.
Rainbow Village, being the transitional housing program, we provide a stable environment for our residents. However, they are full-time workers, so they do pay a percentage of the utilities and the rent. So it's a way of showing them how to be self-sufficient. So in a nutshell, we pretty much provide a stable environment for them to educate themselves and to reinsert back into society, but now as a self-sufficient citizen.
Some of the parents who are here have more than one job, so it's very hard, and it's not that they're not trying. So the misconception is that these are people don't have because people don't try, and that's not necessarily true. Most of the time, the people who are coming here to Rainbow Village don't have the support system that they need. There are informal supports and there are formal supports. Usually, the families who are at Rainbow Village do not have the informal supports because they are estranged from their families, or the families just do not have the means and resources to be able to help the person.
Homelessness is definitely something to be aware of because there's different faces of homelessness. When you're in the inner city, you're taught and conditioned to believe that homelessness involves someone that's looking like a bum or pushing around a cart or living under a bridge. However, when you work in an organization like Rainbow Village, homelessness can pretty much mean anything from couch surfing to living in a long-term hotel to living in your car. So there's different faces of homelessness, and I think Atlanta, being the melting pot that it is, it's sort of a perfect place to educate people about there's not only one face of homelessness.
I think it's very important that we always remember to look out for one another. and Rainbow Village, other nonprofits, and human service agencies provide unneeded service.
With the help of these nonprofit organizations, many people have risen above the poverty line. The stories of those who overcame the effects of poverty shine a new light on overcoming the obstacle that is homelessness.
I was not working a full-time job, and I was not making as much as my rent was demanding of me. So there was not a balance. I wasn't making as much as I was renting. So I had to leave because I was unable to make rent.
I've been using alcohol, crack cocaine, and heroin for the past 41 years.
The not knowing where I was going to sleep, what was going to happen, just the not knowing, the uneasiness. It was a lot of stress.
I hated myself, and I hated a lot of people too. I hated myself for what I had done to my family.
I know it shaped me to be appreciative. I don't have the world, I don't have the riches, the fame, the newest bag or clothes. I appreciate and I'm grateful for everything that I have. So for every relationship that I have here with the other families, the other ladies, I appreciate it because everybody's story is different and everybody's walk has been different. So I appreciate everyone.
After coming to the Potter House, Mark began his recovery through a spiritual revelation and by discussing his issues with others that had similar issues as him. He found a new life and a new way to live. A change in perspective is necessary in order to understand the situations of people working through poverty and homelessness. It is important to internalize the fact that it can happen to anyone at any time.
All of us would be homeless if it wasn't for the hard work of our parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, guardianship, all of that. So I'll start off by saying that really everyone is a step away from being homeless. It's just a matter of helping and being selfless with the resources that you have. Too much is given, much is expected.
Homelessness is a vortex that sucks you in and is extremely difficult to escape. Those willing to share their stories help to raise awareness of this growing issue and to educate others of the need to change their stigma against homeless people. When rising above the effects of poverty, it becomes apparent that it is truly possible to escape the streets.